Railways and steamboats in the 19th century, manufacturing and agriculture in the 20th century, tourism and corrections today. Small town economies in Ontario, such as those in Lindsay, Kawartha Lakes and Haliburton, have, by necessity, always been remaking themselves. Joining us now to find out what that looks like here, Brent DeVolen. He is the warden for the County of Haliburton and the Reeve of Minden Hills. Kent Leckie, president of the Bob Cajun and Area Chamber of Commerce. Denise Williams, acting manager of economic development for the City of Kawartha Lakes. And Bruce Vandenberg is the owner of Mariposa Dairy. And we are delighted to welcome you here to our makeshift studio, and also grateful that you have welcomed us so nicely into, I guess, the town of Lindsay in particular and the City of Kawartha Lakes in general. And that's why I want to start with you, because everybody in Toronto remembers going through the whole megacity debate when 6 different cities became one, and you did that here, I guess back in the late 1990s as well, right? How many different little communities now make up the City of Kawartha Lakes?
16 former townships and the former County of Victoria.
How has this area evolved in your view since that amalgamation?
Well, when you think about it, the children born the year of amalgamation are going to vote next year. So when you mention it to that demographic, they say, former county, former townships? I don't know what that means.
But it's interesting, when I showed up here today, somebody welcomed me to Lindsay. They didn't welcome me to Kawartha Lakes. Now, which is it?
Well, everybody knows Lindsay.
Yes.
Everyone's come here on their vacation. Everyone's enjoyed our lakes and rivers. Everyone's enjoyed our downtown especially. So everyone knows Lindsay. It's a great marketing tool.
But I'm actually in the City of Kawartha Lakes also, right?
Correct.
Okay. Does that get confusing for anyone?
Well, not for us that live here, I guess. It's sharing that message out that we're working on for sure.
Okay, let's talk economy here. You're sort of the next county over, right, Brent?
We're to the north,
yeah.
The County of Haliburton, yes.
And how either different or the same is life there compared to here?
Well, we're a smaller population with 18,000 versus I think 75,000 in the City of Kawartha Lakes. Mm-hmm. Geographically, we're larger. We're 4,000 square kilometers versus 3,000 square kilometers for the City of Kawartha Lake.
And what's the backbone of the economy there?
Tourism. Certainly a new type of tourism. People come with seasonal properties that start staying more and more and eventually become permanent residents, and that's the key economic driver that we have today in the County of Haliburton.
Kent, when you look at life since amalgamation, going back almost 20 years now, how have things evolved in your view?
Well, it's generally been the same, like in terms of the framework of the government and all that. So, but there's been a little bit of confusion in terms of transitioning into the new amalgamation.
So let's understand that. But before there were, what was it, 18 you said?
16.
16. There were 16 different smaller communities, all with their own police departments, their own fire departments, their own mayors, CEOs, all that kind of stuff. And now it's all just one.
Correct.
And everybody, of course, gets along famously, and there's no inter-city rivalry or any of that difficulty.
It's been a transition that's taken some time, and I do feel that now some of the rest of Kawartha Lakes is becoming part of this amalgamation in a better way.
Well, because I noticed that you're the president of the Bob Cajun, not the Kawartha Lakes, but the Bob Cajun and Area Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
Which means it's your job, I guess, just to care about what goes on in Bob Cajun, which was one of those 16.
In the Chamber of Commerce role, I would say specifically Bob Cajun for sure.
So what's your mission?
We promote tourism, local economy and tourism.
And how's it going?
Really well, actually. We've had a good couple of years, made a lot of improvements to the Chamber organization, and we are starting to roll those improvements out into the market.
When people come to Bob Cajun for tourism, what are they coming for?
They come for the dining, the shops, the quaint shops in town, things like that.
Any fishing?
Oh, there's tons of fishing.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, tons of fishing.
Tons of fishing.
Hunting going on right now.
Do you fish?
Not really, no. I don't.
Not too much?
No.
Cottaging here?
I've cottaged here all my life on Sturgeon Lake.
Okay.
Yes.
Sweet.
Steve, could we add to that?
Please.
That we do, as economic development professionals, we bring all of our chambers together and hoping to get all of our chambers and our BIA working together to promote together as one city in a line that way.
See, that's what I wondered, because I assume somewhere along the way there were great rivalries once upon a time, and maybe even still But I guess you all got to sort of row in the same direction now to make any headway.
We are, and our official plan and secondary planning process is helping with that so that we can maintain a little bit of our individual community identities, but then again, align as one big city so that we can market and have more bench strength that way as a city.
Gotcha.
I would say that's occurred in the last couple of years type of thing. Prior to that, it was getting to that stage.
Yeah, it was difficult.
Took a while.
I feel a lot
Yeah.
more going on with getting together with the entire Kawartha Lakes now
Good.
because of all the work your team's doing.
Excellent.
Bruce, tell us more about what you do.
So my wife and I run Mariposa Dairy in Lindsay.
Did you start it?
My wife started the business in '89 on our farm. And it grew from 25 goats and a small little cheese plant selling retail at the farm. Right now we have a 50,000 square foot facility in town, and we process farm milk for about 120 dairy goat farms in Ontario, and we have about 105 employees.
How many goats you got now?
We personally on our own farm milk 1,300, but there's about between 20 and 25,000 goats being milked every day to feed our factory.
You got how many on your farm alone?
1,300.
That sounds noisy.
Can be, feeding time, yes.
What time you up every day?
Well, we start milking 5 in the mornings and 4 in the afternoon. But we have managers or a family that looks after our farm for us, and because my wife and I are busy trying to run the cheese plant.
Understood.
Yes.
How's business?
Been very good. We've, in the last 12 years, we've grown 70 times. And
Hang on. You are 70 times bigger today than you were how many years ago?
12 years ago, in 2004.
What's accounted for that?
U.S. market.
Where are you selling to?
We sell all across Canada and sell all across U.S.
How do they know about you in the U.S.?
We have 2 distributors, one in Canada, one in the U.S. that are minor shareholders of our company, and it just kept growing and growing and growing.
Now, you're a private company, yes?
Majority shareholders are private. Yeah, we're private.
Okay, so you may not want to answer the next question, but it's not going to stop me from asking it. What's your revenues every year?
We are over 30 million a year.
You do 30 million business a year.
Yes, and it was less than $500,000 in 2004.
That's amazing. Well done. We need more of you in the province of Ontario, don't we?
I've had tremendous amount of support. It's the only thing that my wife and I, we've been given opportunities and we pulled the trigger and went for it, but we've had community support, industry support. Yes, it's not our wisdom that got us to this point.
Well, first of all, congratulations. And second of all, did you bring any samples today? I don't see any here. Brent, Bruce, I'm very disappointed.
We're in a brewery and I don't see any beer here. So.
Well, technically, we're not in a brewery yet. They're working on it. They're going to put a lot of money into this place and turn it into a microbrewery. But
and they'll be selling our cheese here, so that's great.
they will. Oh, so everything works together.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. Let's bring up these numbers here because we do want to indicate the size of the community in which we find ourselves right now. The city of Kawartha Lakes, population today 75,400 plus, and it's up from 5 years ago by a couple of thousand. And then let's go just next door so we can take care of Brent's part of the province as well. County of Haliburton, again today, about 18,000. Population 5 years ago, about 17,000. Okay, let's start with you, Brent. I mean, growing, yes, which is a good sign.
Yes,
Not growing too much, though.
Well, it depends. We're growing slightly above the provincial rate in the whole county, but along the Highway 35 corridor in the southwest, where my lower tier municipality is, we're 7.7% growth in 2016, and it's accelerating. So I would say by today, we're pretty close to twice the growth rate of the province. So it comes with opportunities, but it also comes with lots of challenges.
Okay, a couple follow-ups here. 7.7% growth year over year?
In Minden Hills.
In Minden Hills year over year.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Okay.
very good.
So you said opportunities. I get more people move in, more commerce, but what are the problems?
Well, the problems is most of the growth is happening from seasonal residents becoming permanent residents. So obviously their demand for services and all those sort of things go up. But municipalities get their funds predominantly from land-based tax. And when you change from a seasonal to a permanent under MPAC, we don't get any more money. So obviously,
we hate acronyms here. MPAC is the Municipal
Property Assessment
Corporation. Good.
So,
okay.
so those are the good folks that for all of us in our land-based tax calculate what you pay. So transitioning from a seasonal resident to a permanent resident doesn't directly on the property-based tax give us any more money. So like I say, it obviously creates jobs and opportunities within our region, whatever, but it also creates financial strains on our municipality.
Denise, a couple of thousand more people moving here over the last 5 years. What's been the difference?
I would say it's similar to what Brent just described. However, I would add too that one of the challenges is because the population is aging, that has a bit of a strain on our workforce. We're not building that those inventors and makers and that intelligence-based workforce. That not that we don't want to welcome our retired people who put money into our economy and create jobs for some of our younger people, but to actually build an economy that in places, manufacturing, and all those other pieces, we need that younger demographic to build our workforce.
Is it coming here?
I hope so. We have a college here. We're very blessed to have Fleming College.
Sanford Fleming College. Yeah, I guess they've rebranded now. They're just Fleming now, aren't
Fleming
they?
College, yeah. And we have Trent University just down the road over in Peterborough.
How far away is that?
About 30 minutes.
Okay.
So we have a lot of positive spin-offs from that. A lot of international students attend Fleming College. I think there's about 25% of them at last I checked.
International?
Yeah.
From outside Canada?
India, China, all over Asia, yeah.
And they pay higher tuition rates, don't they?
They do.
Yeah, which is why everybody wants it.
So we're educating the world on our water and wastewater programs.
Good
It's
enough.
Interesting.
How about in Bob Cajun? Efforts to get younger people to move in, how are those going?
We are predominantly a retirement village, so that's...
That's not on the agenda, really.
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you? The significance of your company to the local economy, what would you gauge it at?
We are one of the larger private companies in Lindsay. When I look at Lindsay, Tim Hortons has 6 outlets, and they probably are the biggest employer in the private sector.
In the town of Lindsay?
In the town of Lindsay. Of course, the hospital, the city services, the jail would be, larger, but on the private side. So we're probably number 2 or number 3 in the size of a company that employs people in Lindsay. And one thing about our business is 80% of our money stays in Ontario, 70% of our revenue, 70% stays very close to this community in purchases of milk and employees' wages. And so I'd say we are a significant portion of town economy.
Do you have a tough time getting employees to come here?
Our executive that run our business only one of them lives in Lindsay. The other ones that came from Peterborough or Whitby or Cobourg, and they sort of want to be in that area just for that distance to get away from it. As far as employees go, yeah, we do have to screen through a lot of employees to get employees, but we do have a very good staff. One of the challenges we have as staff is, we'll have employees come and we'll offer them a real good job. We pay $2 over minimum wage. It's not as though we pay minimum wage, and they'll work for us for 2-3 weeks, and all of a sudden they don't show up for a day. And
why is that? Tough work, I bet.
I don't know why that is. We're giving them a great opportunity, and they waste it. And after 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we say, sorry, this isn't work. We expect you to show up Monday to Friday. We count on that, and if you don't show up, it just causes other issues, and then we roll to the next person.
Are these full-time jobs you're offering?
Yeah.
They are. Yeah. And you pay above minimum wage?
Yes.
And will you continue to pay above minimum wage when it goes to $15 an hour?
Yeah.
You will again.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that policy, incidentally?
To raise everybody up, it'll cost me about $1,800 a day. So we have to really look at all our things that we do and look seriously at what can be done with automation.
Interesting. So you say, I want to make sure I'm understanding you, the attempt to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, which it will be by January 2019, I guess, that will require you down the road to look for ways to hire fewer people. Do I understand that right?
If our sales stay the same, the benefit is we're on such a rapid growth in sales that in 2 years we'll probably be selling another 20-30% more product than we are right now. Therefore, we're requiring more people. So, will I be hiring a whole bunch more people? Probably not. The people that I have, will they be trained to do more automation, be more technical? Absolutely.
So the minimum, again, I want to be, because this is a pretty controversial issue.
Yep.
You think the rise in the minimum wage will just sort of be part of the cost of doing business, and you will eat it, and you will be fine, and you will move on?
As I said earlier, we'll be looking at different ways how to cut our costs.
More automation coming.
More automation coming.
In a 30% shock to the supply of labor, the largest in my lifetime. It would be incredibly naive to think that it's not going to have implications on an economy. You know, I live across the street from a grocer that, you know, hires 20-some young people and others there at the minimum wage. Is it going to put pressure on them to automate more? Absolutely. It isn't what they wish to do, but the pace of the change and the scale of it in such a small time frame, it's obviously going to cause displacement away from using labor to more automation where at all possible. You know, he's fortunate that he has a growth business, whatever, but most people don't have that luxury, whatever. So it's, I know in the northern part of the area that we're in, the challenges are going to be very, very difficult in the service industries.
Are you hearing about this?
I am, and I also think that the minimum wage could possibly be a catalyst for significant change. To Bruce's point, with the additional growth, it almost forces a business to say, where are my other markets? How can I leverage opportunity around new and different markets that maybe are not in my backyard? And that's one of the roles of our economic development strategy, is to find ways to help, especially businesses in our downtown, to look for different markets and work together to add to their sales.
Okay, don't want to put words in your mouth here, but I want to make sure I hear you right. Are you suggesting that the rise in minimum wage, as he points out, by more than 30%, might actually encourage and or inspire people who are in businesses to find new markets, work harder, do better, etc.?
I think it almost has to, because it's not a choice whether or not you pay the additional cost of minimum wage. So it's almost, and entrepreneurs are brilliant this way. They will find a way. It's
Brad?
Inspiring.
I hope you're right, and I applaud your efforts in this regard, whatever. I would say the history of studying huge shocks to the economy of any type, definitely there will be a short and medium term, whatever, that there'll be more losers than winners. And I'm hoping that over time that it will normalize, but I just know in most of rural Ontario that I travel in, there are people that are greatly concerned, lots of small businesses that I know, that probably half of their profit margin will go away with this. And that, I'm sure will get to the point that it'll, some of them are going to question why they're doing what they're doing. And certainly in a very much a tourist area, many of them operate through the winters, so they maintain paychecks, the quality employees, whatever. It's going to have them seriously considering whether they're going to close for many of them the winter off season. And if they do, that'll be a huge change to our economy.
While you have the floor, I want to put a new topic on the table here, and that is, in our travels around the province of Ontario, we have discovered that one of the most unequal services we find is access to rapid internet, right? What's it like here?
Well, what I'll tell you, I'll speak as Warden of Haliburton County. I'm one of 13 wardens of Eastern Ontario, and 25% of the people in this part of rural Ontario don't have appropriate wireless data connectivity. And as we're looking worldwide from 2015 to 2020, we're going to see an 8-fold increase in the demands. That by the end of 2018, without changes, 2/3 of the people will not have quality connectivity. And there's two technical parts. There's connectivity to hook up, and then there's bandwidth that we can, run the Netflix, or if it's to do with your business, that kind of connectivity. So we need to do something significant. Through EORN, Eastern Ontario Regional Network, we put a proposal forward in May to both the federal and provincial governments to a $299 million project to put a wireless network, at the same time to do a first responder safety network. By doing them at the same time, we'll save just under $50 million. But this is necessary for growth in rural Ontario, and I don't care what you're doing. It's analogous, I would say, that the railways at the foundations of the country, certainly the highway systems after the war, and for the next 50 years, that type of connectivity is is absolutely required.
Denise, how good's the service here in your view?
I think in Lindsay we have very good service. We actually have some local providers that are working really hard to provide free Wi-Fi, especially at our waterfronts, in our libraries, those kinds of places.
High speed?
Close, getting there, I believe. That would be a good question for them to get down to the nitty-gritty of it. I think of some of our businesses that operate up off of Shadow Lake, for instance. I think of an engineering firm that's able to operate up there.
Where's that?
So that's up near Cobeconk. We started a Chamber of Commerce up there about 5 years ago. And there are a number of businesses, people who, their business, they live on the lake and they do business in Toronto, and they're able to find a way, but I agree with Brent, there's definitely improvements to be made to have that quicker, high-speed internet so that more business could be done, so that businesses could enjoy this great lifestyle.
I have heard this, Bruce, wherever we have gone to every corner of the province, that if you don't provide rapid high-speed internet, first of all, you're not going to get young people, and you won't get people who want to be entrepreneurs and do business here, because it's an absolute necessity to do it. How good's the service where you are?
We have reasonable service at our cheese plant. I can't say it's the best, but it's reasonable. We live with it because the step up to the best is, I think, it's a considerable cost for us to do. So we're sort of waiting out till they come to us.
How do you like his $299 million idea to get this place wired up a little better?
He's absolutely right. It is the railway. It is the highway. It is the future.
And we're not even talking autonomous vehicles yet. Most people don't have intelligent appliances in their house, whatever. Like if you look at the hard numbers for the next 5 or 10 years, we're playing from behind. I'd say it's at a minimum, it's a start. And I think that in areas where it doesn't exist, we're going to create have and have not regions. And I agree with the statement from the CRTC in December of 2016 that it should be viewed as a right. And there were some technical thresholds, 50 down and 10 up, whatever by...
Sorry, what does that mean?
The rate of speed, 50 megabytes down and 10 megabytes up,
Gotcha.
Which somebody in the city may laugh at those numbers, but in rural Ontario, where there are people that are still in DSL, what it means is you'll have functionality for just the normal apps that most of us use on a daily basis.
Kent, how do you see it?
Well, when I test my internet, we're about 10 down, 2 up type of thing, and that's high speed. That's the actual high speed for this location, or for this region.
Is that good enough?
For today, but from what he's saying, I don't think it's going to be enough in the future.
Got it. Okay, we got 5 minutes.
We offer high speed now in Bobcaygeon, in the museum at the locks, has it this for the first time this year. So we are making small steps toward providing it for everybody. I find in the rural regions that a lot of people connect through satellite. Is that something that's you're finding at your end, or?
It doesn't work at a level today to run any normal applications, whatever. It worked for a few years, but it's certainly the demands on modern mobile devices today are beyond that.
When do you expect to hear back on your $299 million proposal to wire this place?
We're hoping potentially by the end of the year. It will be a 5-year project. The municipal fiber infrastructure that we did since 2012 is in so that the vertebrae, the core part of it's there so that we can leverage the next part of it. And to say that, in two of our small towns, Minden and Haliburton, a third party, North Frontenac, is putting fiber in those 2 towns right now. So it isn't just the primary, it's the secondary effects of it as well. So we're hopeful. We were very well received, and we're hoping that we have good news potentially by the end of the year.
Gotcha. Let's do one more thing. We've got 5 minutes left here, and I'm going to move to one last segment for discussion here. Growth plans. And let's put some more numbers up here if we could, Sheldon. Here are the facts as they relate to the workforce in Kawartha Lakes. In 2016, the last year for which numbers are available, more than 39,000 people, 41% of them commuting to work outside of Kawartha Lakes. 88% of people working Kawartha Lakes also live here. So they live and work here in the main. Let's look forward. What are the big plans for economic development and growth here?
Well, Council just adopted our economic development strategy, and one of the main pillars in that is our workforce development. So looking for our partners, the college, our community partners that help us with training, looking for ways to engage this workforce, to repatriate our young people. Our whole strategy is about people, 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 making it so that go away, get your education, but how do we bring you back? How do we share this great lifestyle with you, possibly help you open a business? We have a great training arm in our economic development department that helps young people start companies. So that's one aspect of it, but definitely looking for partnerships so that we can provide that training and those opportunities to repatriate our young.
Any idea how many students are on the Fleming campus? It'd be hundreds anyway, wouldn't it?
1,200, and I had the number actually.
So 1,200?
Yeah, something like
So
that.
that's potentially 1,200 goodwill ambassadors for this area, right?
Now that would be between a couple of campuses, so I don't have the exact numbers for the campus in Lindsay, but yeah, it's a significant number for sure.
Okay. How do you see economic growth and development happening here over the next decade?
I can drive to Bishop Airport, Pearson Airport, an hour and 20 minutes. The highways are getting better, so I can see a lot of people moving this way. I'm seeing we're on the edge of the next towns that are going to be really growing. Yes, they will be driving to the city and things like that, but I just see tremendous opportunity for growth in the Kawarthas in the next 20 years.
Do you try, Kent, to attract people from Toronto who maybe have had it up to here with all of the congestion, traffic, everything else, you know?
That's who we predominantly get into our region. It's really the last bastion of affordability. All of the other villages, such as Bobcaygeon, have gone up with their home values and things like that. But Bobcaygeon is still affordable, and the Kawartha Lakes actually is still affordable. Very close to GTA, so we're getting more and more discovered as the go-to place to go from selling your expensive home in GTA and coming up and finding something a little bit more affordable and having a good life.
How far east does the 407 go right now, the highway?
Right now it goes through Peterborough, so.
But it's going to be extended, right, further east?
Yes, it's
far as
coming
you?
to 35,115
Right. Okay.
by 2020. Less than 3 years from now, you can travel along and seeing them doing it, and certainly that'll be a huge change to the whole Highway 35 corridor, certainly in the city of Kawartha Lake, but we're even feeling the effects to the north in the southern parts of Haliburton County. So as well, Via Rail is talking about moving all the passenger rail off the 401 corridor up the Havelock, Norwood, Peterborough, and potentially through Pontypool, whatever, so that there may be a day that there's a train station south of Lindsay that you can get on to go to Toronto or Kingston or Ottawa or Montreal. So even people in our county, which is to the north, definitely will travel and be through here more. So 407 and the rail, I think, have huge implications for the city and for the county of Haliburton.
Terrific.
Could I add to that,
Yeah,
Steve?
please.
We have 14 developments on the go in Kawartha Lakes as well. When council decided to put in the infrastructure to make it so that more building permits could be let, that really helped us as well. And our housing is so affordable, so that will attract people from other neighborhoods as well.
14 projects are what kinds of things?
So housing developments,
Okay,
because of our infrastructure. Yep.
gotcha. Let's do one last thing here, and that is, you may have heard that in less than 9 months, we're going to have a provincial election. And I don't want a partisan comment here, we don't want to get into any of that kind of stuff, but I do want, there's every possibility that we're going to have some politicians watching this program, and I want them to have a better understanding of what you expect and or hope from whoever ends up winning that next election. You want to start us off? What do they need to be paying attention to as it relates to this community?
I think the broadband, definitely, that Brent brought up, that's definitely our technology, the ability to actually do those things, the ability to support businesses and build our workforce. I think those are key pieces that our province needs to work with us on.
Ken?
I think more awareness of the assets we have in the region. I know Lindsay, Kawartha Lakes, whatever you want to say, has done a great job of promoting those brands, but there are other brands that need to also continue to be promoted and improved on as well, like Fenelon Falls and Bobcaygeon and Coboconk, as you mentioned. We have a lot of lakes, a lot of lakes to enjoy here, a lot of things to enjoy, so I think we need to really bring that out a little bit more.
Bruce?
Making sure our businesses are competitive to stay in the province.
How do they do that?
Hydro is way out of line in this province.
Even with the 25% reduction?
Not everybody gets that. And, but I know my hydro costs are a third more than they are in Quebec. And I know if I was in the States, my costs would be 20% of what they are right now.
Would you consider ever picking up and moving your business somewhere else because of that?
No, I would never consider it because this is home for me. The community's helped us here. Money isn't everything. However, I do have to be competitive, and I have to, I can't be a losing company where someone else is benefiting.
Right.
Yes.
Last word to you.
Well, the fiscal gap for infrastructure, it's about $5 billion. At AMO in 2016 in Windsor, we were asked to come back to the provincial government with some solutions, the 1% and the gas tax solution, whatever. We were rebuffed this year and surprised. What I would say to the leaders of all three parties is, if our solutions aren't palatable, we would like to see some practical solutions for that infrastructure gap, because as municipalities, 2/3 of the assets and infrastructure we manage and operate, and so I would like to see some practical solutions to help us with the infrastructure gap.
Terrific. I want to thank all of you for, again, showing us such hospitality here and for joining us and helping us understand this part of the province of Ontario so much better. A nice wide shot, please, Mr. Director, as we thank our guests for joining us. And it's good to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Help TVO create a better world through the power of learning. Visit TVO.org and make a tax-deductible donation today.